Hello guys, welcome once again to the channel. My name is Amos from Symmetry Acoustics, and as usual in this channel we normally talk about room acoustics and offering solutions that are related to room acoustics. So that's why in this video I just want to make it very straightforward, and it's about acoustic panels, different type of acoustic panels, and how to choose them based on these factors that I'm going to mention. So how do these panels differ? Because they tend to differ in performance, they tend to differ in prices, they differ in appearance, and all those confusing elements of this kind of panel. So I'd like to share with you the most important factors that you need to look into before you purchase any acoustic panel, and also compare how do they compare and why are some superior to others. So let's dive into it. So number one, before we plan to buy any panel, we need to look at our budget. A lot of guys budget in tight, so budget is very important because it will determine the kind of panels that we'll end up with. Number two, we need to look at how we're going to use our room, what we call room usage. How do we use the room? Because if you're using the room in a basic way, then requirement acoustically will also be basic. If you are professional and you're using your room in a very professional way, then you'll require professional treatment in that kind of environment. So room usage is a very big deal in determining the kind of panel that you need to acquire or to buy or to build for that matter. Another thing we need to look into, which is important but not as such, is how the panel will integrate to the interior, and that means aesthetics, which is also a big deal, by the way. So how the panel will look after it's mounted, apart from the functionality, will determine the pricing or your choices as you go through this. So let's dive into each of the following factors, and I'll just elaborate and make it a bit clear for you to understand, and also the difference between this kind of panels. So let's start with the basic room setup. So basic room setup or basic room usage is guys like podcasters or voiceover artists, just basic recordings for vocal only, so not so much going on there, just maybe a vocal booth or a small room where you do your personal work like for voiceover and YouTube, like this one I'm doing here. So in this kind of environment you need very basic setup, and that basic setup is to take care of flatter echo or reflection or reverberation in the room, and bring things a bit under control so you can be able to get clear recordings out of your room. And that is where these kind of panels will come in. In this case, we have a lot of panels in the market. We have polyester panels, we have foam panels like these ones here, these acoustic foam panels. We have fabric panels like these ones I'm holding here. So what really is the difference between these panels, and why do they differ so much? So these ones I'm carrying here are called acoustic foam panels. This is an open cell PU foam or polyurethane foam. It is open celled. Open cell means air can pass through it very easily. It's so lightweight, it's not like your cushion. So it's made for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is sound absorption. They come in many colors. These are light blue, this is gray, and also they come in many shapes. We have things like this one, this is called mushroom. So really these shapes don't mean so much because generally these kind of panels perform better above 500 hertz. So if your case needs a reduction of echo and reverberation above 500 hertz, then these 2-inch panels work well above 500 hertz. That means peak performance or peak absorptions, it starts at 500 hertz. Then below 500 hertz there's yes absorption, but it's kind of minimal. So basic setup, you can use these kind of foam panels to get rid of flatter echo and bring things a bit under control. I'm sure you've seen a lot of videos comparing fabric wrapped acoustic panel like this one to foam panels like these ones I'm carrying here. So what really is the big deal about what is the difference? So when you look at fabric wrapped acoustic panel like this one, the advantages of this one over the foam are, one, they are customizable. Customizable means you can make them as thick as you possibly can, and also that means you can also get high absorption inside this one. Another thing is that they are what we call performance focused panels. These are made of rockwool. So rockwool is very highly absorbent, so it can be either rockwool or rigid mineral wool or glass wool for that matter. And that's how they tend to be more superior than this one. However, there's an issue with the comparing the panels, because if you look at this panel, it's made of rockwool inside, just as mentioned. But if it's made of another material that is not so appropriate, then the comparison between these and the foam panels will not be very, very appropriate, because this panel only performs better, or in other words, preferably better, because of the core material. So what makes it perform or absorb much more better than the foam is the core material. So if you make a panel like this, ensure you use the right material inside it to be able to get the best possible absorption out of it. So that is how they differ in terms of performance, the foam and fabric panels. So another thing we need to look into is the room usage. If you are using your room for tracking, and tracking means guitars, vocals, all these kind of instruments, then you may need a slightly high absorption panels. And high absorption panels means panels that can be able to kind of go broadband, absorb high frequency, mid frequency, and part of lower mid range and low frequency. That is exactly around the bass guitar amplifiers. And also kind of apply some diffusion as a secondary consideration if need be. So that is also a consideration that you can look into. So the basic setup, basic acoustic treatment, intermediate like tracking rooms or hybrid rooms where you for recording and mixing, then you need mid frequency, high frequency absorbers and low frequency absorbers, in that order. And if you're using your room for mastering and mixing only professionally, then it becomes very professional in terms of how the treatment is done in that kind of environment, based on first of all room dimensions, because also room dimension will determine how these panels will work in your room. Some rooms are very hard to treat because of their shapes, because you have overlapping room model issues, and that becomes very problematic when it comes to acoustic treatment. So that's how you choose acoustic treatment: basic setup, basic treatment for echo reduction, intermediate broadband absorption, and mastering or recording, mixing and mastering, that is high bedroom, you use high absorption panels, and that is where you use you can use these fabric wrap panels and make them very thick, probably 8-inch if possible, to be able to go broadband and also absorb the lowest frequency, because you need very good translation in your mix. Also you need a proper speaker translation or audio reproduction as produced, and not room interference. So in that case, we mean minimal room interference needed at pro level. So that's how you choose acoustic panels, and this is how acoustic panels also differ. One more thing before I finish is that we have the third category of acoustic panel that I hope you've seen, and it's kind of what we call combo panel or hybrid panel, like the one at the corner, the red one. So that kind of panel is called combo panel or hybrid panel, because it combines both functionalities like absorption and scattering of high frequencies, not really diffusion or such like concept, but it scatters high frequency and absorbs mid-range, and now you end up with a room that is more lively. And those combo panels are supposed to be used in conjunction with absorbers, so that you have a balanced room. So they are kind of a cheaper version of getting a scattering device or polycylindrical diffusers for that matter, and that is how you choose acoustic panel based on those factors. So hope the video was helpful, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe.